We do this every single week, every single Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, at MondayRocketFuel.com. We're glad you guys are here. Today's going to be awesome. But before we get to today, just kind of a couple reminders. Number one, shout out to our community builders, people that we're working with in their local markets to bring United to the agents in their communities. They're running events, virtual events, live events. So a lot, you'll see some of them have their the white United background. Couple of upcoming events for you guys to be aware of. Obviously, next Monday, we will have Rocket Fuel. Beth Matthews is coming on. She's going to be awesome. Next
So good.
Wednesday, yeah,
She's
Beth is
so
awesome.
good.
Next Wednesday, June 10th, for team leaders, we're doing very specifically how to solve the revolving door, like how to keep your team from becoming a stepping stone and getting it to be something that is more of a long-term solution, not just for the agents that join your team, but also for you.
So
Aimed,
good.
do you have something to say on that?
Sorry, I think you froze or I
Oh,
froze. I don't know, but
yeah,
I did.
one of us
All I
froze.
heard was aim.
You're good. So that's next Wednesday. If you're a team leader, we'd love to have you jump on. Leilani's going to put the links for that in the chat. And
Yeah.
then 2 weeks from today is halftime. So it's going to be awesome. A lot of you guys have heard and been inspired by listening to Justin Nelson in the past. He's probably one of the more inspiring speakers that I've been around. He's very much mindset focused, but also very numbers driven. So it's not just a bunch of froofy, like feel good about yourself and get hyped up. It's very analytical and very like causes you a lot of personal introspection. So Justin's going to be speaking. Chelsea Pites is very
Yay.
relevant. Yeah, she's awesome. She's going to be our,
She's
our other
so good.
speaker. And
Yeah.
then Aim, we have a third speaker that I don't know as well.
Ethan Robertson, you guys, he is my new favorite follow on social media. Like this kid is crushing in this business. If you are struggling even a little bit online and generating leads and getting business, Payson Robertson is an amazing follow, and he is going to bring the fire, bring the tactics. Halftime is the perfect mid-year reset, and we are so
Wow.
excited. This lineup is like unmatched. It's going to be so good.
Yeah, and that's 2 weeks from today. And then Aim, we're taking a break from Rocket Fuel for the rest of
Yep.
the
To
summer.
start. This is our fourth year of Rocket Fuel, and this is our fourth summer
That's
where we just
crazy.
like we pause for July and August because we hit reset. Like everybody we not even just to like recharge because we need a break, but more like how are we going to keep delivering and at even a higher level and more value when we come back in September? And I'm fired up for like what some of the
Yeah.
things we've got planned this summer that we're going to be rolling out in September. So.
So we've got the three things leading up to the break. So Rocket Fuel next Monday, the Team Leader Series next Wednesday, and then halftime 2 weeks from today. And then we take
Yeah.
a break. But before we do any of that, Aim, we're super stoked about our speaker today. So why don't you introduce Kristen?
Yeah, I'm really excited for this session. And I'm also going to be joined for this interview. Guys, if you saw what I shared on social media, like first and foremost, I was really, really, really candidly admitted yesterday online that if nobody else showed up today except for me, then I know that Kristen would be able to walk away and go, somebody got a ton out of this because I need today's session. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with Kristen Cantrell. And I'm joined by a friend and business partner, Cheryl Getz. Cheryl and Kristen are both women that I absolutely just love following because they are so authentic and real. Number one, online, just like in how they show up, but they are delivering so much value for their local communities, their communities online, female entrepreneurs, female real estate agents. And when if you are a man joining us today, you are going to be blown away by these powerhouse women and the conversation that we're going to have and everything that they're going to share is going to be so, so, so impactful. So I asked Kristen to join us today because she and I were just having a text conversation, checking in on each other and like bantering a little bit. And I was like, there's something different about the way you're showing up on social. And I'm like, I'm struggling. I was really honest with her. I'm like, I'm struggling with it. And she's like, Aim, I just got back from the most phenomenal boot camp. And she's like, I learned so much. And er, irregardless of where she was, I'll just mention she was at a Sales Girls official boot camp. If you're not following the Sales Girls and you are in sales, you might be living under a rock. You should follow the Sales Girls. Um, no matter what your gender is, you should follow the Sales Girls.
So,
They are amazing, but Kristen got to be in the room and learn firsthand. And so I was really excited because I saw such a visible difference in her online presence and how she was showing up online. I was like, okay, she learned something and she's on to something. So Kristen, thank you for being here. By the way, guys, Kristen runs the largest female realtor group in the industry called Moms in Real Estate. If you're not a part of that, you should join it. Her and her business partner, Randy, run that. And so, Kristen, thanks for being here. Let's just we're going to just have an open conversation, guys. No slides, no plugs for anything. We just want to talk. We want to help every single one of you that are here to be able to just be even more authentic and show up as the best version of yourself online. And so, Kristen, where do you let's just to start, maybe you could just explain, I think, a little bit about what shifted for you, because it was really visible and really noticeable that something different had transpired with you and how you were showing up online. So maybe we could start there.
yeah. Thank you so much for all of that. I'm really happy to be here. Um, I don't know if any of you guys feel like this, but I feel like over the last handful of years, a lot of us have relied on going to ChatGPT to create our content. And we think like, oh, they know our business so well. So they'll have like the best hooks and the best, captions and all this stuff. And I kind of fell into that trap too, where I was like, just I was bored with content. I was, generating it through AI and trying to customize it as much as I could, but I was bored creating it. I was dreading creating it. And then I hated consuming it. I still hate consuming it when I'm on Instagram and I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so obvious that this person just got this hook from ChatGPT. And so that's kind of where I was. The Sales Girls had a 5-day online boot camp, and I was like, oh, these girls are cool. I know that the girl that runs, the owner of it did a big collaboration with my business coach. And so I was like, I'm going to sign up for it. So I think that I came up when Amy asked me like what shifted for me. I was like, I'm going to come up with at least 4 things. So I'll just talk about them with you guys. I really want this to be interactive. So please take yourself off mute if you guys want. I hate presenting. So the first thing was that I stopped creating content to teach and started creating content to create belief. So a lot of times it was we're taught to be okay, for me, I build community. So it was here's how to build community. Here's how to host an event. Here's how to grow your business. For you guys, if you're in production, which I'm assuming most of you guys are, it's 5 things to do before you list your home, 3 tips for first-time home buyers. And so one of the things that she taught that just really hit me hard that I had written down and circled was people aren't taking action because they have more information. They're taking action when they believe something's possible for them. So it's really I just keep putting myself in who is my ideal person and putting myself in their shoes when I'm creating content and not making it at all about me.
Can you
Um,
say
Go
that
ahead.
one more time? Can you say that one more time? That people take action, what?
So people don't take action because they have more information, right? So all the tips, all the frameworks, all of that stuff, it's great, but people are actually taking action when they believe something's possible for them. So when you're creating content, you could ask yourself, what belief needs to shift? So for me, it's really important for me that I relay the message that community isn't just nice to have. It's actually a business growth strategy. I believe that to my core and I want my audience to believe that. So for you, it might be something like waiting for the perfect interest rate has cost some buyers more money than the rates itself. So maybe just think what are some of the beliefs that your ideal client needs to shift.
Oh, really quick, Kristen, you said something um, before you create any content, you're asking yourself not necessarily what you want to create or what you want to talk about, but you're very specifically trying to identify a persona that you're creating that specific piece of content for. Is there one persona you're always going after, or do you always go through this process as you create?
So this is new for me, but it's definitely like I speak to a couple different avatars depending on which pillar I'm in. But yeah, I definitely go through this and just try to be like, okay, so for you guys, it's like you could think through, okay, what about for a first time home buyer or somebody relocating to Gilbert, Arizona? Like what would I speak to for them? So there can be different questions, but what's the belief shift if I'm moving from Canada to Gilbert, Arizona, like what's something that I really need to like, I just use that filter when I'm starting to get creative in content. I also something that like total side note, but something
Oh,
that was really helpful for me. Oh, Catherine, I see you on there. Hi. Um, Something that was really helpful for me that I've been doing a lot to make, because I like to go back and forth with Claude or chat, whatever one I'm doing. I'm gonna send Amy after this all of my notes that you guys could literally put in there so that when you're brainstorming with creating your content, it's actually going through these different shifts that I went through. So it's actually really, really good. It's not just spitting out like, the best hooks or whatever. It's going to actually collaborate with you on storytelling and stuff. So I will send that and it's really, really helpful. Okay, so and then just think too, like the goal is not to teach everything but it's a goal is going to be to create a new way of thinking for your avatar. Another shift that I had was to stop talking about what I do and start talking about what they want. So instead of being like, here's my program, here's my event, here's my framework, it's going to be like I used to say, the hello culture, my community helps women build communities. Now I say stuff like, the women who build communities are often women who are the most connected, visible, and referred to people in their city. So same offer, but a different conversation. One is where it's like about me, the other is where it's about them. So instead of like for you guys, it might be like I help people sell homes, and then you could change it to I help families make their next move without feeling overwhelmed by the process. So that was another shift. I'll give you guys my third one. Okay, this is a huge, huge, huge one for me. I started paying attention to the language my audience uses. And I know I see a lot of agents do this where they're speaking in agent language. Like, does anybody like know what I'm talking about when you're talking about like market reports and interest rates and inventory being low? So really like something that you guys can pay attention to is what conversations are happening in your direct messages, your face-to-face conversations, for me, podcast interviews, comments, things people are saying at events. Um, and then I will use that language in my content. So even something that I do at the end of the day, if like usually I'll try to pick up my kids a little bit early. I'll get there like 20, 30 minutes early and I'll sit in my car and then I'll like think what just happened today? What conversations did I have? And then I'll turn the camera and I'll just talk to it and tell a story. But I'm really thinking through like it doesn't have to be face to face. It could have been a conversation that I had in my messages. This has been a huge shift and it's super easy to make content when you're doing this because it's literally you just saying what happened today and what can I tell, how can I tell a story about it?
I
And
love that, Kristen, because I think a lot of us struggle with trying to find the balance of like planned content versus off the cuff, in the moment content. Because I find our best ideas come in the moment off the cuff, but all of us are trying to, time block perfectly and have the perfect framework like for a reel or a story, or have the perfect cover, for example. So I love that you in a way time block your off the cuff.
yeah, yes.
That's cool.
That's a great way to put it. Because I don't, a lot of people will like plan their content, like, they'll do like a once a month, full day content, whatever. And I think that that can be great. But really building that muscle, I'm like, okay, I'm going to show up and having 20 minutes to show up and just think back like a couple hours, right? It just makes it a lot easier. And it's like,
How are you
Go ahead.
getting through that? Like, how are you getting through that like mental block where it's like where you like do you, okay, if you're sitting in your car and you have thought through like, oh, this is a story I can tell because of a conversation I had in it and it'll be relatable to your following, are you like frameworking it out? Are you writing down your key points first? Or are you just jumping on and just like raw dogging it?
I'm raw dogging it. Yeah. I feel like the more I overthink it, the like less the content lands. Like the more, so I'm just really going like I want to be fully like raw. I literally stopped even like putting, I would write out my captions before and throw it in chat just to edit it and make sure it was fine. I'm not even doing that anymore. And I'm realizing like I misspell stuff. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe how bad I am at typing out captions now. But I'm like, I'm just doing that because again, like just like I always try to think through like how am I consuming and then produce how I consume. And so if I'm like, oh my gosh, if I see another like perfectly formatted thing that I'm just automatically judging that it's all AI, like I can't do that. So I'm literally just like putting it on. I will think before I go and like start recording, how can I say this story like to hook them in the beginning to where they're going to want to listen through the rest of it. So I will definitely try to make like the beginning, the first 3 seconds, like super, super entertaining for them to want to continue to watch it.
Now, do
I
you try
think
to
you
get oh, sorry. Do you try to get controversial at all? Like we all know, like some of you guys know, Colton Lindsay, somebody I'm connected to in the real estate world, and like he just tries to kick the hornet's nest on every single post. Are you? Yeah, because it does. I mean, controversy works, right? And like the algorithms, like holy crap, people are commenting on this, and so more people see it, and then some people love them, some people hate them. Do you try to stir the pot at all, or?
I don't. I don't really feel like I don't know. I'm probably too much of a people pleaser. I don't try to. I think I definitely, if I don't feel comfortable putting it out there and I'm worried about it, I just don't. So I haven't. Not that you shouldn't. I mean, I have a lot of friends that do, like you're saying, Colton Lindsay. I have a lot of friends that do put out content like that and it works for them.
I don't, it's crazy because Amy and I have talked about this. I don't think I'm a people pleaser, but I also just don't, I just don't want to spend my day arguing with people.
Yeah, I
Or just,
definitely don't want to. I
right. So
had a
anyway,
video go viral once and I've had two videos go viral and neither of them I wanted to. And there was like a lot of negative comments and I'm like, "Oh, this like doesn't feel good. I don't like this at all." So I don't.
see, it's funny. I talked to my kids about TikTok versus Instagram, and I'm
Hmm.
like, bro, people are ruthless on TikTok. And they were like, what are you
They
talking
are.
about? People are meaner on Instagram. And I'm like, heck no. Like, I posted a couple of TikToks that got a little bit of virality, and it was like the meanest stuff that anyone's ever said to me. And I was like, bro, I just don't think I'm built for this.
Yeah. Me either.
Yeah.
Me
It's an
either.
easy way. It's an easy way to go viral, though, is to go on there and just say like something crazy about President Trump or about like something that really gets people stirred up. Like Colton Lindsay compared Keller Williams to the Mormon Church, and then everyone was like,
Oh
"Whoa,
yeah.
what's going on here?" And so it's like you could do stuff to stir the hornet's nest. But I was just curious if you mess with that.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe I should. I don't know. I could do it, but yeah, so I feel like that last and even just like what we're talking about like other shift is like I'm trying not to even be so smart and just be more human and like the more I can show up like that, which I feel like I've kind of always done anyways, like I just want people to be like she's the same in person as she is online, and so really just remembering how important that is, especially as we're evolving with AI and everything. I just think it's so, so important to show up authentic and real.
I think by doing that, your content is only going to stand out because so many people are getting on this AI train. Do you
Hmm.
have any other tips for making time for creating content, especially kind of scheduled off the cuff content, other than, showing up a little earlier to pick up your kids?
That is definitely my best pro tip. But I do like, back in 2020, I remember seeing so many agents having these great photos and it'd be like them downtown or whatever it was. And I was like, how are they getting all these photos? So I asked a couple friends, do you guys want to do content days every month? And they said yes. And that's how I started doing my content days. Now we do them and it's a huge production and there's usually like 50 people doing it with us, but it started out with just 3 people. So a tip would be accountability partners. And so that's like where we're just literally getting photos, B-roll, we're, recording some reels, getting stuff saved in our drafts. And we're doing that once a month, kind of just to get stuff in our folder so that when we are trying to have filler content, we have tons of it. Or if I have something to say and I want to do a carousel post, I want to have a cute picture to go with it. So really just like loading up on those kind of things once a month has been huge for me. So I would say like a definite tip would be have accountability partners.
Mm.
I like that. I think that agents often say that they don't have time. They don't have time even to say like I don't have time before I pick up my kids or I don't have time to come. Do you think it's like a planning thing? Do you think it's an idea block? Do you think it's a mindset issue? Like when agents are like, I just genuinely don't have time to produce, whether it's planned content or authentic and raw.
Yeah, I mean, we all have the same time in the day. I think you just have to really like ask yourself how important is it? And I know for me, I will, before I actually will hire anybody, I go straight to their Instagram, even before I Google them. Like, I want to see what they're doing on there. And so I have not hired people because I go to their Instagram and it completely sucks. And I'm like, okay, if this is how they're treating like their marketing and their business, like, I judge them. I don't know if that's right, wrong, or whatever, but that is literally what I do. So, I always think like even as an agent, like if you're going on a listing appointment and there's another agent going before or after you and they're doing their research and they're looking up you on Instagram, they're looking up them on Instagram, what are they seeing? Because if they're like me, you might have the, great presentation, a great conversation with them. That other person might also have a great presentation, a great conversation with them and their Instagram and all their marketing is amazing. So I just really try to remind people that people are looking at you and judging you before you even get an opportunity. So I would just definitely make time for it and, make sure I don't know, I would not make time for it.
Maybe there's just other things like as agents, we need the mindset shift around like what is if you just genuinely are looking at it from like a time perspective, is there something that you're doing that you can leverage out, that you can outsource so that you can actually have more bandwidth and time for creation and things like that. Um, at the course, you mentioned that you really you've taken a shift, I guess, if you will, in talking about what you offer, what you sell, to talking about how your audience is feeling. Can we just go back to that and dive into that a little bit more? Like, how do you think that impacts agents specifically? Let's maybe like walk through some examples so that the agents that are on here today really walk away with something tactical that they could start to implement.
Yeah, I think just, thinking again, like this could be even just something where you're sitting down and write down on a piece of paper, what is my avatar actually sitting there worried about and what are they thinking? Because they're not thinking about your negotiation skills or your market knowledge or all of that stuff. They're really sitting there probably thinking things like, okay, can we actually afford this? I really don't want to move my kids from this school to that school. I feel stuck. I feel overwhelmed. Like my interest rate is 3% and I feel like I have to stay in this house forever. So, really speaking to their feelings is what I would focus on.
It sounds like you're also speaking to like their fears,
Yeah.
right? Their fears, their frustrations, like their blocks of why they're not making the next step.
Yeah. Why? Yeah, for sure. So you want to talk to their fears and then like how you can solve it. Working with Kristen's going to make this so much easier because, you want them to be able to think that.
Hmm.
So you also want to be super specific. I know sometimes that can be hard because you're like, I don't want to be so specific, but the more specific you are, the more connected you're going to get to them. So like you can be thinking, you could be talking about have you ever like scrolled on Zillow in the middle of the night and wondered if you could actually buy a home because you're not alone, right? So you're like you want to like get into their thoughts when you're trying to when you're creating content, like really put yourself in their situation.
Mm-hmm.
Catherine, what's your question? You're saying, are you speaking to agents as well? Oh, you edited it. Sorry.
Oh, I'm just
Catherine.
asking like, hi, thanks. Just asking like, you mentioned you have different pillars and depending on which pillar you're in, you're having different messages. Are you also talking to other realtors as well when you're messaging? I know you run the mom's real estate.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, even like agent attraction. This is where we talk about like people just feature dump all over people. Like we have rev share and stock and all the training and all the technology and like really just take a step back and like think about like why does an agent want to move? Because a lot of times those things aren't the thing that's driving them. A lot of times it's because they feel like they've hit a ceiling or they're alone or they're producing and they're exhausted. So really think even when you're speaking like from an agent attraction standpoint, like don't feature dump, try to speak to like, okay, like what are these agents feeling that are moving? And just have conversations. You can ask all of your friends at Real, like why did you move here? One thing that I love doing is doing that. Like I have a podcast called The Real Shift. And so I interview agents at Real on why they moved over to the brokerage. And I take those stories and I turn them into reels all the time. And so if I'm sitting there in the car trying to think of something to talk about, I'll think through, okay, like, you know, why did so and so move to Reel? And I could just flip the camera and tell the story about why they came to Reel and why I thought their story was really cool.
Well, and I think that it goes for any brokerage. I mean, we have agents on this Zoom right now from like all different brands of brokerages. I can see like all the different names and know like, so it doesn't really matter whether or not you're talking about attraction to Real or EXP or Remax or any
Anywhere.
yeah, you just really like why do agents make a move? Like what are their pain points? What problem would, XYZ brokerage even solve for them? And then speaking to that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
that.
Well,
absolutely.
and I think it's interesting, Kristen, because people right now, and it's hard, they crave authenticity.
Mhm.
But the challenge is if you're anything like me, you're like, why would anyone really even care what I have to say about anything? And so it's
All the
like
time.
there's this, we went through and Gary Vee's been screaming about this forever, document your life, don't just create fakeness. But then we went through a period where creating fake won. And like you were just like,
Yeah.
dude, I know that person's broke, and yet they're making videos standing in front of somebody else's Porsche and they're getting like a lot of love for it. And you're like, so what's going on here? But I think the interesting thing has been to see that pendulum swing back to like, well, no, people do crave authenticity. So I guess this is maybe even a deeper question, but how do you show up authentic in your content, and how do you fight the urge to just be fake and tell stories that aren't true or highlight parts of your, what I mean? Like how do you
The
show up
highlight
authentically?
press.
I literally don't know how I would show up and lie about what I do. I just feel like to my core I couldn't do that. Because I've always thought like if I lie, it's going to be a lot harder to show up and continue with that lie. So why not just one thing I found out early on is people just want to be on the journey with you and don't feel like, oh, I have to be an expert in something. Just show up and like let people follow along and come along if they want to. And I feel like when they can relate more with you, the more they're attracted to you. So at least that's been like my experience. Sometimes when I hear people, the big gurus, whatever, I'm like, it's great what they say, but then I'm not relating with them and I'm not wanting to like necessarily follow along with them. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just feel like I want to be connected to people, and that the people I'm connected to are the people that are actually showing up genuinely talking about the struggles and just the reality of everything.
Well,
Well, and
you
I
bring
think sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, just because you bring up connecting, I think we have this problem where we're over explaining and we're under connecting. So I'm curious, like, what are your different ways to really feel like your audience is being you're connecting with your audience in a way where when they come across the content, they're saying, oh my gosh, that's literally me. Like, I have to follow or I have to DM.
Yeah, well, I always try to one of my biggest goals when I'm creating content is to create conversations. And so I am very active in my direct messages. So a lot of my call to actions are going to be like my messages are always open. And so when people message me, it's never about me. I'm always interested in them. And so I will, that is like 100% how my DMs go. Like they will eventually ask me about me, but I have to, and Sharon actually said one of my favorite sayings ever is be interested, not interesting. And so I always am thinking through that when I'm talking to people, like, because it's natural for us to want to be like, oh my gosh, they're saying something that I have like this response to, or my whatever is the answer to what they're talking about. But just like be patient and listen, because usually when they have the opportunity to talk and to share, they're going to tell you everything that you need to know. And maybe they aren't the best person for this, but maybe you know somebody you can connect them to, and you connecting them instead of selling them will create so much more opportunity down the road.
Kristen, you're definitely a connector of people. And I've seen that firsthand. And we're talking about authenticity. So, like, I know that, like, when I scroll right now, there's like very highlight reels, right? And then there's like the authentic self of like dumping some of their like behind the scenes that people don't talk about. Where do you find that balance of positive yet issues and challenges? Like, as an example, like an agent saying all the stuff that they actually deal with. An AC blew up on Friday, another plumbing, like where it doesn't sound so negative. How do you find that balance when you're creating authentic content?
I mean, I don't have like a straight answer. I would just say if I notice I'm showing up sharing negative stuff more often, I need to knock it off. And definitely like I want to show up positive. And I do share struggles. I just feel like if I'm noticing like, okay, this is starting to like my content's starting to have like a negative tone to it and I'm complaining too much, I need to like shift it. But I don't have like a set way to answer that, I guess.
Yeah.
I think there's
Has
just
there-
like Raquel, what took your point, there's just a fine line between
There is.
authenticity and oversharing and
Yeah.
telling the truth.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just like there is a line there, but I think at the end of the day, like if it's real for you and if it's authentic for you, like you're not going to be for everybody, right? And I think I remind myself of that is like if I was sharing this is a debate that I've been having with myself actually since I said something on stage at CollabCon, like one of our events here in our local market. Um, if I decide to be like raw and authentic and like share something like deep or whatever, something personal that's going on, and that's okay for me. It won't be for everybody, but that's okay because that's my truth. And
Yeah.
I think that that's something that I've been coming to recognize is that what we're not going to be for everybody, and that is okay. I'm not like personally, I walk that fine line of like of oversharing. And I have thoughts on it, and I'm like this. So this is like an internal battle that I'm just being really candid with you guys about. But I think like as even to Joe's point earlier, like he's like, well, who would want to listen to that? Like there are people that would want to listen to that, and that is who your audience is. That is who your people are, and the rest that don't, like whatever, it's okay.
Well, and I created a reel this morning that it's been bugging me. So, Kristen, I came down and I spoke at some title company rented out a steakhouse in Phoenix last year, and I went and the question he asked me really bugged me, which was like in 2025, Joe, how are you teaching your agents to talk people off the fence between buying and selling? And I was like, I'm not. Like, that's a stupid question. I didn't say it that way, but I was like, I'm not. He was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, if I do my job right, I'm helping agents understand the game is not talk people into anything. The game is just find the people who are already going to. And like, so you were talking about
Yeah.
in conversation being much more questions like, what, tell me about yourself. Tell me, how do you get to that point though? And I think I know the answer, but like in the creation of content where you're speaking to an audience that more than an individual, are you, you know what I mean? Like, we know people that are buying and selling right now is like, people getting divorced. So you're going like, all right, divorced people are going to buy and sell. So let me talk about if I were going through this process as divorce, hey, here's things I'd be considering. You know what I mean? Is that the correct framework for something like that? So that you're not like, you're almost identifying the reasons people are doing things and then attacking those?
I'm, I mean, I would say, yeah, I'm thinking about what is the outcome that these people are wanting, and then speaking directly to the outcome more so than I don't know how to answer that. I don't know.
Well, and it was probably a little illogical question, but it's like, we can't talk people into doing anything. People are going to buy, they're going to sell. Our reasons for them doing that are irrelevant.
Yeah.
So then how do we identify, how do we become the who for the people that are going to do the thing? And so it's like, when we can't, like Amy pointed out, being an active listener, but in content creation, we have to deliver. So it's like,
Yeah.
how can
Well,
you bridge that gap?
I think that's where really sharing like success stories, right? So you have tons of success stories. So going through those, and instead of posting like a testimonial, you're going to be like, "Hey, I just had a buyer last week," and this like go through the conversation and how you guys help them go from point A to point B. So it's really going through like the wins through storytelling is what I would say.
Is there ever been a time when there was something that you wanted to post, but you were scared how it would land or how it would resonate, and then it did really well, like it kind of surprised you?
Yeah, for sure. And this is like, I feel like I've kind of done a lot of what I learned in the sales girls training before I learned it, but it was coming back to this. So yeah, it was back in 20, it was like 2 years ago. I was leaving EXP and moving to Real, and I didn't want to offend anybody, but I also really wanted to make a big announcement because that's a huge opportunity, right? So I was overthinking the crap out of what I was gonna post, and I just like I wrote it all out. I did all these things, and then finally I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm overthinking this." I went and sat in a parking lot. I went to like trending whatever reels, and I started scrolling through, and I just found like a short, funny reel, and I recreated it. It was so stupid, you guys. And I just threw on like, I had 250 people in my organization at EXP and moved to Real, and you'd never guess why, something like that. And then I just posted it, and I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. And I got more messages than I've ever gotten in my whole life on Instagram. And I overthink it, thought it like to death. And then I was so happy I did, because it just opened up so many different doors for me.
What about the opposite? If you're like, I've had this happen actually, where it's like you think you have a great idea, you post something, you put a lot of thought into it, and then you get like literal crickets, like no
Yeah.
traction, no engagement whatsoever. Do you take it down? Do you repost it a different time? Like, what do you do in those situations?
Yeah, I feel like I just have always like told myself to embrace the suck with everything I do, and this is part of that is like there's gonna be posts that suck and there's gonna be posts that take off. So who cares? Just move on. My kids always say like it's not that deep, bro. And I'm like, yeah, it's not. Like if it doesn't go off, that's okay. I'm not gonna be like ashamed of it and take it down. I'm just gonna move on and keep creating content.
I think it's also like a reminder that people are paying way less attention to us as
A
than we
100%.
we're so in our heads about whether or not something goes viral or has impact or reach or whatever. And at the end of the
Mhm.
day, like people are really absorbed and consumed with their own lives and their own families and their own businesses and circumstances, right? So
Yeah, it's so true. Like we think people are thinking about us way more than they are.
Yeah, for sure. So how are you redirecting, I guess, sort of like that mindset around this needs to land or this needs to get engagement or needs to go viral? Like how are you redirecting or rechanneling that energy into actually focusing on growth?
Mm-hmm. I just think it's a mind. I think it's embracing that mindset of like just embracing the suck and moving on. I think I've done that for so long that it doesn't even bother me at
Part
all.
of who you are. Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
Kristen, if your goal with your content isn't to go viral, like what's a good goal to have of like, okay, I'm posting this content, I'm being consistent. What's the goal to get out of posting content?
For me, it's messages in my inbox and good conversations. I think that some people get fixated on like the number of followers they have and like if their posts are doing good or whatever, but I will tell you that like you don't need a huge following, you just need like a deep audience. And so that's where the messages come in. And I think that that's a big missed opportunity when people say like, oh, just post and then get off. I'm like, no, you got to post and engage. So even if you haven't created the habit, like, one thing, I run a Facebook community and I hate Facebook, hate it. So I have on my calendar every single morning 15 minutes inside the Moms in Real Estate Facebook group. And I cannot move forward till I check that box and it crosses it off. So if you're like that with Instagram, like maybe you say like 15 minutes every single day, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go and see how I can engage, who I can engage with, and who I can go deeper with.
Yeah. I love the goal of just, DMs and conversations. If you're always creating from a place of, I just want to create more DMs and conversations, it also helps you create content with more ease, right? Like the call to action could always be the same. For example, if you have a question about this particular thing, DM me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is something because I do think that there was a time when mini chat came out and I was like, oh my gosh, like what if I say comment, green and you'll get all this information and nobody comments green? How stupid am I gonna look, So then I was like, you know what, it's fine. I'm just gonna say DM me and that way I'm the only one who worries about how many DMs are in there. So I think it's just like, making it work for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
Kristen, what I really appreciate from what you're sharing today is this is nothing canned. Like there's nothing wrong with the PowerPoint, and I've done professional development. I know how important PowerPoint it is, especially with adults that you want to lead them to where you're trying to get them to go. But what's particularly powerful about this session today is the importance of the process. What you're literally like, you're thinking on your feet and displaying the thinking that goes behind what we're doing, because there is no one set way to get this done. And we can get very mired down and what do I do next? And what about this? And how do I, and you're just being very genuine and truly authentic and sharing like, I'm not even sure how to answer that. Like, and that's what it is. That's really what it is when we sit down to do what we're doing on this side of the business. And I can't even tell you how, excited I am as I'm sitting here because yes, I'm taking some notes, but I'm in such a place right now and you just feel like, oh my God, like what and how it's and I'm like, oh, she's doing it too. And she's further down the road, which tells me that what I'm doing is okay and that it will work itself out. And there's not enough of that out here in the world in what we do. There is so much make it look like lipstick on a pig basically, and that's not the reality. And that's also what I love about real is that it's not 3 steps to this and 5 steps, because that doesn't work, that there is nothing canned, and I get to be authentically me. What I'm actually struggling with content is if you know me and you spend time with me, people will tell you I'm authentic. If I say it, it's the truth. Like I don't quibble. But how do you do that in what you're showing without people thinking like, oh, she's not nice or whatever? Like that's the place where I am now with, yes, I show, if you look at my social media, you see a lot about real estate, but not a whole lot about me because I don't know how to let that part of me out and people understand what it really is as opposed to what it's not. And maybe I don't need to worry about it. I just need to do it and let it fly.
Yeah.
So
Well,
thank you.
thanks for saying that. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm by no means a social media guru at all. Like I'm just doing it. That's it. So I'm hoping I'm dropping some value here.
You
So
are.
Do you
Kristen,
have, oh, sorry, go
oh,
ahead, Joe.
Kristen, talk about the freedom. Amy and I have talked about this before. She and I have really shifted our focus toward team leaders. I think it's just fits the avatar that we're like, I can speak team leader all day. When I
Yeah.
try to put myself in other shoes, it just doesn't work as well. Maybe talk about the freedom that comes with just going, like, I'm going to speak to
Oh my gosh,
my
so much
truth.
freedom. I was so nervous to speak to that one person 2 years ago, and now every single time somebody books on my calendar, I'm not kidding. I laugh. Like I'll get on Zoom calls and I literally will laugh at the beginning and be like, you are literally my ideal avatar. I don't know how, like, they keep showing up and they're like, and I always say it's like somebody I'd love to just like go grab coffee with or a glass of wine with. There was a time when I was taught, like, just recruit bodies. It's literally a numbers game. And that was how I literally built for 5 years. And I would do business with people that when they would call me or whatever, I would look at my phone and be like, oh, I don't want to talk to them. Like I did not want to talk to them. And so I'm like so grateful you guys like speak to that one person because you're going to have a business where you show up and you're like, I literally get to do business with these people. Like I'm so thankful. So I think it's just like knowing that, I mean, it's awful when you guys can all think of somebody that you've worked with. You're like, I do not want to ever have to work with that person again. So really think of like who's that best client that you've ever had and like really brainstorm on how can I get more of that person? How can I speak to her? How can I speak to him and do it and speak to him? Like same Joe, like I don't have like a new agent, nothing against new agents, like love them. But I am absolutely awful to be the one that's bringing them into real. I know exactly who the girl I want to bring into real and how I can help them. And so when I'm creating content specific to agent attraction, I'm going to be speaking to that person, not about helping a new agent
Well,
get successful in real estate.
yeah, and I think you pointed it out, like whether you're attracting agents, you're attracting clients, like I've always been shocked talking to team leaders who are like every single lead, like I'm giving my agents on my team leads that none of us want to work. And it
Totally.
was like, well, then stop generating leads that no one wants to work, like down payment assistance, credit repair, like that. If you speak down payment assistance and credit repair, you can't be shocked when those people gravitate towards you. And
Yeah.
so I think going back to kind of where you started, the creation of content has to be speaking to the audience you actually want to work with, whether that's clients, agents, whatever. Because if you're not careful and you either A, try to be everything to everyone, or B, you try to catch the low hanging fruit of clients and like, hey guys, I've got this, this property that I want to show you and it's cheap and the seller will carry paper or whatever. And then all of a sudden you start working with people where you were like, dude, these people suck to work with. You just can't
Hmm.
be surprised. And that's whether it's agents, clients, whatever, you've got to make sure you're feeding the avatar like that you ideally want to work with. But also, I think there's something so powerful of just going, I'm just going to speak my truth to that avatar, to that persona, and then the hope would be that that becomes magnetic to that ideal person. So you just create this cycle of content creation and real life work that you're doing, but it's in that realm you want to be in, which is huge.
So
Yeah.
I think you bring up a really good point, and I'd love to hear from you, Kristen. Has your avatar changed as you've gotten clearer and clearer, and what did that process look like? Because I'm sure a lot of us are thinking, man, I speak to relocation buyers and sellers, and I speak to investors, and then, like to Joe's point, down payment assistance. Has it been a journey, and what did that process look like as you got
Yeah.
clear? Because today your content is like absolutely clear who you talk to.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it has changed. And then it also like I feel like it still can change. Like I think like there is that person that I talk to, but I just did a post the other day where it was like I work with guys too because people assume I don't work with guys because I talk to girls all the time. And I posted a picture of me and two of the team leaders I work with. And so um, you do want to like speak to that person, but it's okay, I think, to just kind of like also be like, it's not so rigid. I don't know. I hope that
Oh, you're
answers.
off. Yeah, and there's some flexibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've heard people say like you can have multiple avatars, and I agree with that. I think it's just like having some consistency amongst all of them.
But there is a trap in trying to be everything to everyone. And I know we're out on
Yeah.
time, but it's like, guys, don't be afraid to segment. Don't be afraid
Mhm.
to find an avatar and go after it. Don't be afraid to say, man, for some reason, the last 10 clients I've worked with, I freaking hated 6 of them, but the 4 that these had in common were this. And then just go do that. And like the cool part about the real estate world is it's so big that we don't have to be everything to everybody. And like your jam may be credit repair. You may love it. You may feel a sense of fulfillment that you're serving people and whatever. But like the more you niche down into what fuels you and like what gets you up excited that day, all of a sudden you're going to wake up and go like, wow, I love what I do. And I love
Mhm.
who I speak to. And I love this whole process where like, we don't have to, the cool part about real estate is we don't have to do the parts we don't want to do. And
Mhm.
that to me is so powerful about what you're doing right now, Kristen.
Kristen, I have a
Thank you.
question for you. Like, you guys can't see my screen, or there we go. Can you see it now? Your last like 9 posts or 8 posts on social media, did you edit them yourself? Do you
Yeah.
have any staff? Okay, so that this is all you?
Yeah,
Because
that's
people
all
might
me.
be
If
like,
you go to
how
my,
do I do this?
yeah, I do my personal brand. I would never delegate that to anyone else. I have a marketing girl who runs my business pages. Just because I can't. But I will try to like cross collaborate with those ones as much as possible. But my page, I think that I have the responsibility of showing up because no one can connect with people as me, the way that I can, obviously. So I feel like it's really important to me to never delegate that.
Interesting. Love it.
That's where most of my business comes from. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's my responsibility.
Yeah. For sure, for sure. Okay, leave us with one thing that you think that everybody in this Zoom room needs to be implementing this week based on what you learned at the boot camp.
I if the number one thing I took away was literally just asking myself what happened in the last few hours that I can share and do that. That will change your Instagram. It's so easy. So easy, that little shift.
Okay. I love it. So good. Kristen, you're awesome. Cheryl, thank you. Joe, Raquel. Guys, we appreciate you being here. Just a reminder, Rocket Fuel is back next Monday, 9 Pacific, 12 Eastern time. Then on the following Wednesday, we have the team leader webinar. And 2 weeks from today, it's halftime. It's time for that half year business reset, guys. Do not miss it. The link is in the chat. Kristen, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for showing up for
Thank
us
you
so
so much for having
authentically.
me.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Guys, go follow Kristen. She's amazing.